Hey guys, we got a massive patch coming in. The meta is completely different. Lots of nerfs, lots of buffs. Let's dive right in. Our first change, we have Dino Tamer Bran is now 5 battle cries instead of 6. That makes sense because this was nerfed probably because of Alley Cat being on tier 1, and that's a little bit too good. 6 was too bad. So now they're trying 5, and we'll see if that is the sweet spot or if it's still going to be bad, because I've seen lots of hero picks where Bran was rated as F tier, and I very rarely see F tier. Now we have removed cards. No more low flyer, Arm of the Empire, Slippery Slider. Low flyer, arm doesn't really matter. Arm kind of just outdated. Very rare that you find a good spot for that. But Slippery Slider is a very common card to use. That one does hurt. That's a really fun card to buy on tier 4. All right, then we have a bunch of returning cards as well. As you can see, they're really making an effort to make the types that weren't so good a lot better here, because this is lots of support. Adaptive Ancestor is back. That makes Murlocs better. It's not key, but it's really nice to be able to get that early shield and then triple it. It has Venom. It's a lot of keywords. Keywords are good. It's also very good to buy in the end game. Handless is the premium undead token. So this is going to make the butchering archetype much better. If you can put Reborn on a Handless, it's so good simply because Handless does not take a lot of board space. And that's a huge deal. If you play something like a Caretaker, yeah, it's more tokens, but you never have board space to summon all of them, especially not if you have a Titus. Drakasat is sort of the premium battle cry for Caligos. So that's a lot of support coming back. Not only that, it's also very easy to farm triples with. So it helps you get your additional Caligos, or you can just use this even if you're not dragons to farm triples. Hunters, same deal, lots of Caligos support. Very good to have this. Coast Guard, big pirate support, so nice to see that coming back as well. Kangor, big for Automaton, and probably lots of other cool stuff. I guess you can get the Curator Trinket, and then you can use this in combination with that to reborn Venoms. That sounds disgusting. Darkrest is very important for Groundbreaker. This is going to make Nagas a lot better again. An early Darkrest works with Drukhari. Not that you'll get more spellcrafts, but it'll upgrade faster. So this way you can get to tier 6 faster. Once you get to tier 6, you'll get more Groundbreakers, you'll get Silvos. It's a very good unit to have early. And then Dagger Spine makes the Naga late game much stronger because you can simply sell or mutinous one of your worst Nagas, add a Dagger Spawn, and suddenly you have a Venom Divine Shield. It's rare that we look at the returning cards like this and we say, wow, all of these are pretty significant. It's a very deliberate patch. It's very cool to see. Okay, then we have a lot of changed minions and trinkets, so we're going to dive right into those. Taran Spiritwalker was completely silly, so they made it 7-5, they buffed it, damn it, look at this. All right, no. The reason why this was broken is you could copy your triple rewards because it said any spell. You could copy Darkmoon prizes, right? There's crazy. You could copy Guff triple rewards. You could copy Silas ticket rewards. Completely bonkers. They made it to what it should have been in the beginning. You cast a Tavern spell twice, which means none of that other, none of those shenanigans are no longer viable, which is why, they're giving it an extra damage point. Burrower. Oh man, I love it when Blizzard does this. I call this sort of like the shotgun approach, where it's like, you don't want to play the card? Okay, we're just gonna like load it up and like buffs everywhere, buffs. So you don't want to play with Burrower? That's fine. We're going to make it a 5-4. Oh, wait, that's not it. It was Avenge 3. We'll make it Avenge 1. We'll let it scale 3 times as fast. You will not deny us our Burrower meta. Pretty cool, honestly, because this was extremely unplayable. And now, you have to start asking yourself, Avenge 1, that's not a lot of Avenge, right? So if you have a really good board for it, all of a sudden you triple into this early, you're like, you know what? I think I'll keep it. I really like this, right? So lots of unplayable cards to just buff them like crazy to suddenly say, hey, in some positions, you're definitely going to want this. Stag, another one, right? Now they're giving it +3/+3 permanently, which means, again, if you do have a board with lots of summons and you get this early, you have to start considering it. That can scale up pretty quickly. Same thing with Tiger. Tiger is now 5/5 instead of 4/3. That's also a significant buff. It is also a 5/5 baseline, which just means, like, especially with a lot of these mid-range cards, right? So with Stag, with Tiger, it's just more likely going to be the objectively correct card to take for tempo in the mid-game. And then if you have it on your board, it's more likely it'll make it into a comp later, or it's more likely you're going to end up in Beast or so. For instance, if your first shop on tier 4 has 2 of these guys, yeah, you're just going to be buying that because, those are 2 5/5s, which is already like okay-ish. And then during the combat, that's going to give you +10/+10 on your guy in the back. like we're buying that, right? That's good. That's just straight up good. Ashen Corruptor goes to tier 5. That is because we have Shadow Dancer going to tier 4. So those are just switching positions. Now it's going to be easier to get the staff early, but it's going to be harder to get that damage reduction early. So I think I would prefer to have Corruptor on tier 4 if I'm playing demons, simply because then I can roll Malchezaar in this thing. Whereas if you don't have it, you need Rewinder early, and that's always a tricky position to be in. So I really like it whenever the Archimont or the Ashen Corruptor is on tier 4, which means that you can roll that and Malchezaar in the same tier. But we'll see how this plays out, right? Maybe this is actually really good to have on an earlier tier. I'm not sure. Oh, talking about the shotgun approach here. Fireforged Evoker, start of combat, give your dragons 1/1 after you cast 2 tavern spells. Now they're saying, give your dragons +2/+1 after you cast a tavern spell, improve this. Not only did they make it 1 extra damage, they now make it improve twice as fast. So it's more than twice as good right now. And again, this was unplayable garbage, so it was necessary. All of a sudden, now if you have this and you have Poet on the board, you have to start thinking about, that's a lot of permanent buffs I can farm with Poet. So this is really what it was supposed to be with, you play this with Ignition Specialist. Ignition Specialist gives you all the spells. You have Poet on the board, you make the dragon buffs permanent. I'm pretty sure that is what the devs had in mind that we would play, but of course this was a joke where it was +1/+1 after 2 tavern spells improve it. It was like, oh, +12/+12, oh my god. And meanwhile, the elemental guy is like, 2,000, 2,000, choo-choo. Right? It's like, it's just not even in the same game, right? It's not in the same realm. You know, they've toned elementals down. We're going to talk about that as well. And this is like a huge buff, so you know, we could maybe see some Ignition Specialist Evoker boards now. Drake goes to tier 4. That is also huge, which means it's easier to farm this triple. And if it's easier to farm this triple, it's easier to play with Greenskeeper. And now all of a sudden you're farming a ton of dragons. And we have Drakasad back in the pool. We have Hunter of Gatherers back in the pool. Those are 2 very good hits to farm. So yeah, massive dragon buffs coming out, which was super necessary. Greenskeeper is now a 4/8 instead of a 2/7. So I mean, this duo alone makes dragons on tier 4 like very juicy, where it's easy to farm these guys golden. You can also use eyes on them, and then having those on the board makes it very easy to farm stuff. So super fun, really nice to see. Also, this next to a Merc Eye, right? Suddenly your hand is full of dragons, much easier to get more Caligos. Bronze Steward, 10 attack, it's a 10/2 again, right? That shotgun approach, just like giga buff dragons. Yeah, lots of damage coming out from dragons now. That's, you know, that's what they want. They got the divine shields stuff going on. This is now a tier 2. It's a 4/5. I'm pretty sure that's just to move some stuff around on the tiers. That's fine. Lightspawn is now a tier 5. They buffed it. I can't believe it. No, end of turn, this now grants only health, and then it switches to damage next turn. So that is significantly worse. Some might even say, you know, half as good. But it being on tier 5 is an interesting choice here, because we're going to see that they turned Locolar into a 6-drop, and it now only buffs elementals instead of other minions. So that is an insane Locolar nerf, because Lightspawn being on tier 5, you can still argue that that's okay, right? You get that early, it still works with Drakari. You can still, you know, you can still farm quite a bit. But then your payoff to that is probably going to have to be Mana Surge now, because when we look at Locolar, this is so much worse, where it's now on tier 6, and only buffing elementals means it won't buff your Drakari, it won't buff a Bran if you have that. That's a significant change, which is necessary, right? Elementals were way too good. So I'm honestly not sure if it's going to be worth picking up Locolars now. Maybe still, right? On the right situation where you have your Drakari, you have, you know, mostly elementals on your board other than the Drakari, and you already hit Lightspawn, then it's probably still going to be worth. Much harder to farm more copies, and it's on, it's only elementals now. Greasefire, we weren't playing elemental shop buff. This is another massive buff. Now we get +4/+4 to the shop instead of 3/2. So getting a pair of Greasefires early is now going to go really hard. That means that next turn, all your elementals already have +8/+8. Same thing with Barnstormer. Barnstormer is now 4/4 on Battlecry and Death Rattle. So they're really saying, like, play shop buff elementals. Please play it. We designed this whole archetype and you're not playing it. That is very rude. Especially with Lightspawn buffs on this, and with Sand Swirler buffs, and you have a Bran, all of a sudden when you play Barnstormer, your shop just goes like... just whoom. That is significant. Which, funny enough, will probably make, you know, they might have inadvertently here made demons really strong. It's going to be a lot easier to buff the shop, which then, of course, demons really like. You can do something like Amul, cast it on elementals, have a huge elemental shop, and then your Felbat will eat the huge elemental shop, end of turn. That's probably better than just playing pure elemental. So it's probably better for demons this change than for elementals, funny enough. Lubber is on 2. Oh, Lubber meta is back. Not really, right? So there was a whole patch where we just forced Lubber, and that was Jeef's fault, because Jeef popularized that strategy. But that was back when we had a lot of different spells in. Overconfidence was on tier 2. We had the reroll spell. It was 2 gold for 3 free rerolls, so it's effectively plus a gold. You no longer have that. You no longer have confidence on tier 2. So I don't think Lubber meta is back, but you can probably try it if you have Rewinder on the board and you can farm the damage coins and you have a lot of Lubbers early. We can consider having some fun with that, but it's much weaker, right? Not being able to spam Overconfidence is a huge nerve. All right, Electron is now end of turn instead of every 2 spells. A massive nerf, giga nerf, and incredibly required. Electron was broken, just disgustingly broken. Now it's pretty much going to be a Drukhari exclusive, where if you have Drukhari and you have Electron, you're probably going to want the 2-drop as well to buff your magnetics, or at least a Trinket to buff your magnetics, and then you still have a reasonable payoff with Boom. It's probably still going to be playable in the right circumstances, but it's no longer going to be, you know, I see an Electron, I buy an Electron, because that's generally what we did in the previous patch. You just buy Electron, it would buff itself. So even if you only had 1 or 2 mechs, it's kind of okay already, because you're just spamming a lot of spells, and then you'll get the other mechs later, and then you'll have huge booms. And now that's no longer going to be a case. Now it's going to be more like, okay, do I have a Drukhari? Do I have a board of mechs? Do I already have this, you know, tier 2 mech buffer guy? You know, then you can put it on your board. Automaton back to being 3-2. Okay. Kangar is back. No other nerfs to Automaton, so maybe Automaton is back to being an archetype now. At high MMR, it's tough to do that, though. You kind of have to be Terran or something cheesy to make it work, but I think in low to mid-range MMR, you know, Automaton might actually be a thing now. Elogist is a 3-2, that's fine. You know, it's just a little bit too weak. Mystic now buffs 1-1 again, right? That makes sense. This was way too weak. Gourmet is a 4-3. Yeah, I mean, they really undershot it with Murlocs, right? All of these changes are just like, makes sense, it was too weak, makes sense, it was too weak, makes sense, it was too weak. Not much else to say about it. Sephin is back. It's now a tier 5, and it can only buff itself. I have just finished a game with Murlocs, and I did win it. So this does look bad, but there is another change for Hackerman. And having Sephin plus Drukhari on your board means you can farm all the keywords on 1 unit. It'll also buff itself +4/+4 end of turn, so twice if you have the Drukhari. So if it's golden, it'll be 8-8, so 16-16 end of turn from itself, which is, you know, a nice little bonus, but definitely not the reason why you have this card. But Hackerman was now changed where it gives your other Murlocs +1/+1, but improved by each different keyword in your warband. So what you can do is you can have the Sephin get all 6 keywords pretty quickly if you have Drukhari, because that's only 3 turns. And then you have Hackerman, it will give your whole board +7/+7 if it's next to a Murkai. If it's then got Drukhari, that's your whole board 14/14. Is that amazing? No. It's pretty good in the mid game because that makes your whole board bigger and it's pretty relevant in the mid game. But what happens in the late game is that you really want to concentrate your stats. The reason why you want to concentrate your stats is you want to be able to fit cards such as Leroy, an extra base skill, Belcher, Ancestral Poison Guy, right? So you want to be able to sell weaker minions, which means that for Hacker Finn to be better, you want to condense your stats on, say, 1 or 2 units. So if Hacker Finn had its previous text where it was +3/+3 on the ones with the keywords, it would mean that you have a giant Sephin and maybe a giant tier 1 Murloc, and you'd keep those 2 and you'd sell all the rest. Now what happens with Hacker Finn is that you spread your stats out and your whole board gets bigger, but not big enough, which is better in the mid game. So I did just play that, but I sold a golden Hacker Finn next to a Murkai when I had the option of having Drukhari and Brand, which is kind of silly, right? To say that, where like I had the full setup and I sold it because it wasn't going to go fast enough. But that's also, again, that's at high MMR. So this could be a comp in low to mid MMR, but especially to compete in high MMR lobbies, this kind of scaling is not enough, right, on all your minions. But that doesn't mean it's a bad change, because it does make your mid game a lot better, because it is difficult to farm a lot of keywords on everything, or at least on a few minions. Now it's quite literally, oh, I have a 1-drop with a lot of keywords, I can put Hackerman on my board and it buffs quite a bit. Overall, I don't hate the change, but I don't think you're going to have Murkai Hacker Finn on your board for a very long time. You're going to probably switch to just playing around Merc Brine and then buffing a Bream in your hand and summoning that with base skill. So Coil Scar is now a 3/2, which is fine. Honestly, you kind of need this thing to die anyway, so do I even hate this? This is not this is too much. This is still too good. I see what they're doing here, but this card is still broken, right? Because it can farm the Reborn for itself. But we do have a very big change. Weary Mage is now on tier 4, which means that on tier 3, this thing can't hit Reborn anymore. And that is a big change. So it might be a sufficient enough nerf, right? Some stat nerf on the Sapper. Weary Mage is now a tier 4. Let's see, right? This might actually be sufficient for Coil Scar Sapper to not be crazy good anymore. But it was basically the best 3-drop in the game in the previous patch. Slumber Sorcerer is now a tier 4, which I think is fine. This was just not good enough for a tier 5. Just straight up not good enough. Shipwright's back to being a tier 2. Yeah, that early game pirate thing really didn't take off, huh? That early pirate thing really didn't. I did not do the whole make my minions golden thing at all. So with Shipwright on tier 2, who knows? Maybe that's good enough. Starry-Eyed Explorer, same thing here. They're making it a 5/5 just to make it more likely that it's the correct tempo pickup. And if it's correct for tempo, you might actually use its effect. And all of a sudden you're doing the golden pirate meme. Probably not, but there's more chance now. Grubber, again, right? It's that shotgun approach. It's like, you're gonna play pirates, damn it. It's just like, buff, right? Gold Grubber is now 3/3. Again, on the right board, it's okay, but it's definitely not an unconditional, oh, I must play Gold Grubber now. If you have some Aureate Laureates or you already have the Starry-Eyed that's procced, then sure. Drust is now +1/+2, and for the golden ones, +2/+3. I just don't think that's good enough. I think the whole design of whenever you get a pirate isn't good enough. It's weird, but I would rather have the gunpowder thing, because pirates buff the Spacefarer, and Spacefarer likes attack. Oh, it buffs itself now, yeah, but even that... See, the problem is you can't just buy a bunch of pirates when you're APMing. You have to buy Genie, you have to buy Refreshing, you have to buy Shell Collector, right? That's how you spend gold. You buy Rodeo Guy. You don't buy every pirate you see. You buy Gambler, you buy Busker, you buy Marauder, right? The headhunter for the contracts, but you don't just randomly buy Peggies and stuff. Like, if you have infinite cash with Doubloon, why would you play this? Then you just pivot into something that scales better. It's just not fast enough to buy every pirate you see. Because this is only good if you have infinite cash. And if you have infinite cash, why the hell would you play Drust? Why wouldn't you pivot into something that scales better? Now, again, that's high level, right? That's high level where the vast majority of the player base isn't going to be like, oh, I'll just pivot. I'll just like sell all my pirates and put something else. But at high level, if you have 50 starting gold, you're not playing pirates anymore, bro. There's like, yeet. If elementals and demons are in, you probably like buff your shop and switch to demons and use your 50 gold to scale way faster. That's just the problem, where like pirates just don't compete very well with the scaling. So they are very good at getting extra money with the grifter, but then once you have that extra money, it is just way better to go play something like Murlocs instead, or elementals or demons. We'll have to see again, right? I might be wrong on this, but the whole design just feels off because you just don't want to be buying a bunch of pirates, right? Glow Gullet Warlord, that's just a little bit of a bug fix, I guess. The golden tokens weren't 2/2s and now they are. So that's really not a big change. That's just in line with how the cards normally work. This isn't an overall buff because the normal version didn't get changed. Thornweaver's a 2/8 instead of a 2/6. That's good. This card was not good enough, so now it might survive a little bit longer. Although I just want Pokey, honestly, or even just Piper, because this whole Avenge 4 and its switch every time, it feels very clunky, so I probably still don't want to play it. Bristler is tier 4, fine. That's okay. I don't think it changes much. You don't really want it early, you want it late, so it's fine. Oh, but this is a big one. Dark Gaze Elder is now a tier 5, and whenever you spend 6 gold, play a blood gem on all your Quillbore instead of 3 friendly Quillbore. Massive change. So now, if you have Bran, you can actually do something like Dark Gaze Elder APM comp. So if you have a little bit of gem buffs, you can also rotate some foodies, right? You can use foodies to buff your gem. So if you have, if you randomly have Golden Bran, you can have Dark Gaze Elder APM comp now, because you can play the Elders and maybe like a Menagerie minion to enable you playing Primal Fins and stuff. Because if it only was 3, it's a little bit awkward, but now that it buffs all and it's a tier 5, it's much easier to get more of them. So I'm not saying APM Quillbore is all of a sudden like OP or anything, but you could actually consider playing Dark Gaze Elder. In the previous patch, you could not consider playing Dark Gaze Elder. It was just horrible, right? this is a good example. If you have 50 gold, it's so much better to just play Dark Gaze Elder scaling, because you can just buy every foodie you see, and then the gems get very big very fast, and then all of a sudden your scaling is much better than just scaling with pirates. So Dark Gaze Elder would probably be a better use of infinite gold than doing just pirate scaling. Three Little Quills is now at tier 6, so these guys just switch positions, and that's because the Death Rattle Quillboar comp was just broken, and it was a little bit, well, not broken, but it got very big very fast. So if they nerfed mechs, which they did, and if they nerfed elementals, which they did, and they wouldn't nerf Quillboar at all, it would be a problem, because Quillboar were very, they were competitive, right? They were kind of on that edge where a lot of the time you could really give pirates and you could give mech and elemental a run for their money. So I like that they changed this to tier 6, because Death Rattle Quillboar go really hard really fast. Anubarak back to tier 3. Honestly, they're just like, I don't know if they know what to do with Anubarak. It's like, and now I'm here, now I'm here, now I'm here, now I'm here, now I'm here. No, it's just whatever. It's a whatever change. Not a whatever change. A 2/9 with Avenge 4. Significantly better. And we've also seen that Handless is back. So that is very big for this. So now we might actually see some undead comps coming out as well. Noisel, yeah, this was horrible. This was unplayable garbage. And now it's, you know, not insane or anything, but it gives all your friendly undead +2/+1 permanently, which means that you don't miss the buff, right? One of the worst feelings when you're playing something like Noisel is you summon 3 tokens with a caretaker and all the tokens get buffed, and you're like, permanent stats, my ass. It's like, where is the permanent stat? So the fact that it could go on the tokens was just horrible. Whereas now it's every undead that is still alive at that moment when you summon gets +2/+1, right? So at least you can't miss. Now you could actually consider putting this on your board when you have an undead start, right? You could just put it on your board and you say, at least it's going to buff itself, and at least it's going to buff my striker or something, right? Whereas before there were so many random buffs going to waste, and it was only 1/1. So yeah, very necessary change. Crasher, another very necessary change. It now only buffs undead, and that is very unfortunate for Titus, because I don't think Overflow Titus was broken, but Overflow Beetles was. And it looks like they didn't find a way to both preserve Shimmermoth and keep the Overflow comp in the game the way it was before. Because what people would do was they would have Titus, Shimmermoth, Catacomb Crasher, 2 of them, and then just play caretakers. And you would get such a crazy amount of beetle scaling, because every time one of the tokens from the caretaker didn't fit, which ramps up very quickly with Titus and multiple crashers, your beetles would just get +2/+2/+2/+2/+2/+2. So you would get like thousands, right? Like you could get like 2,000 on your beetles like this, which is, you know, obviously too much. Now, I think another change with Catacomb Crasher that could have been interesting is that it would just buff it, but in a big chunk, because that wouldn't make a difference for anything else. Let's say Caretaker dies, and there's, let's say it's a Golden Caretaker that's 6, then you have Titus, that's 12, you have 2 Catacomb Crashers, that's 24. I think it should just been like, boom, 24 in one go, and that means +2/+2 to your beetles. And that'd be fine. And then you still have all the stats on your board, right? Your Titus still gets 24, your Catacomb Crashers still get 24. That wasn't broken, that was totally fine. But your beetles would only get 2. I think that would have been a more elegant change. I don't know why they didn't do that, or if there's some problem with the way how the game is coded, where it is like, oh no, we have to do it separate buffs or whatever. But yeah. Oh, is the regular version 2? Wait, that might be fine then. It no longer buffs Titus, and you can't buff something like Mount. So it's definitely more annoying to set up. You can't buff Macaw, you can't buff Mount, you can't buff Titus. But if you have 2 Crashers and you're playing double Caretaker instead of Mount, yeah, no chicken buff is annoying. You know what? With +2/+2, maybe it's still okay, but you need 2 Caretakers. It's awkward, and you probably need to pivot out of your Titus and your chicken in the end game and play Scam or something. I don't love it. I much prefer it to the previous version, because it's much nicer to buff the chicken and stuff. Blanchy? Oh, that's right. You could run Blanchy. I still think you'd have to sell your chicken and your Titus to run Scam, because you can't run a 5/4 and a 1/7, right? Okay, we'll see. We'll see. +2/+2 is twice as much, right? So you buff a Blanchy twice as much. Interesting. Now, you don't have a lot of board space when you play Overflow, right? Because usually you want to run multiple Crashers, multiple Caretakers. You want to run the chicken or the Macaw and the Titus, sometimes double Titus. So I think overall it's still worse, but yeah, maybe some niche positions it's fine. Arcane Behemoth is now not half, so I guess nobody picked this thing. Which is still a bit of a problem for Sanders, get more Arcane Behemoths. They buff each other, but that's a lot harder to do. So I guess they were a little bit afraid of that abuse, because that's in tier 7 lobbies. In the previous meta, we had tier 7 lobbies with anomalies. That was very strong, because let's say you have a 1000 behemoth, you sell it, your other behemoth is now 2000, you sell that one, the other one is right, because you would just golden them and they would double the stats. Now that's way harder to do. It's still possible with stuff like pendant and fishing rod and stuff, but it's very conditional, so I think this is fine. I don't think it suddenly breaks the game. 3-3 instead of 2-2. Yeah, they made this cost 4 and I don't know why. I guess it's just because they did spell buffs, but shiny ring still costs 2. I don't know. It's just, once you have a few spell buffs, you really don't care that this is 3-3, right? So yeah, I don't like this costing 4. Seafood Stew, very good buff. This now buffs for every bonus keyword in the warband. Quite necessary. This was just very bad, where it only buffed one target. Gem donation. This now transfers the gems to the 3 highest tier minions in the tavern. I guess this was just really hard to set up. I think I've been offered it once, because you very rarely had a lot of quills on your board when a lesser trinket rolled around, so we'll have to see how this plays out. This is kind of whatever. This is really about, can you set it up where you have a lot of gems and then you can transfer, and then you have you triple your gem count, but then you still have to buy them. It's a lot of money. Cliff Diver sticker is 3-3 now. Still a bit awkward. You basically need Bran on your board, and when you have a lesser trinket, only Bran has a Bran on his board, so, you know, kind of whatever. Weary Portrait down to 3 golds, but you now no longer get a Coil Scar. That is huge. That's a big nerf. This was an S tier trinket to take back when I gave you a Coil Scar, and now it'll only be that if you already have Coil Scar on your board. Very specific trinket to take now. Shrine of Evolution is now 2 gold, but you get 4 drops. Okay, now that's worth using. For 3 drops, I pretty much always thought my board's just going to get weaker because I'll have some buffs on my board and then they'll be gone because they'll be evolved. Now that we're talking 4 drops, now if you have a board full of 1s and 2s, you could actually high roll it and get a lot of fun stuff. So I like this change. Finley's helmet is 5-5 in a random keyword. Better, but yeah, I mean, I guess you take it if it fits your gold. 5-5 is quite a tempo boost. So but the thing is, you just don't want to be rolling that much anyway, but it's okay. Altar is now 4 gold, but you get 4 gold for each removed. So assuming you have a lot of minions on your board, you're still making money with that, because it costs 2 additional gold, so that once you've removed the first 2 minions, every minion after that is extra gold. So this is very fun. I definitely want to try to make a video with that. I want to go like straight to tier 6 with Altar. Bubble is now 1 bonus keyword instead of 2. That's fair. This thing was really annoying when people got a good setup, because it would essentially make the full Reborn Venom board, which is really annoying to fight. +2/+1, that's fair. They had a lot of elemental nerfs, so small buff on Trinket. Bleeding Heart is now 8. Was anyone playing this? I guess it were. I don't think I've ever picked Bleeding Heart this patch. So I guess maybe at low MMR people were doing this and winning with it, but after 7, yeah, I don't know. Maybe this is just because they buffed Undead. They're like, oh, this is going to be too good. This goes to 7 spells instead of 6. That is fair. This was a good lesser trinket, so fair nerf. Unholy Sanctum is 3-2 instead of 3-3. Kind of whatever, honestly. I don't think that's going to make or break it. This is just the proc Shimmer Moth a lot of the time. All right, Grubber Portrait goes to 2 gold, but you no longer get a golden Grubber, but you get an Aureate Laureate, so you still get the scaling. So the scaling is less because it's not a golden Grubber, but you can actually level and take this now. So I think overall it's better. Now you could actually take this level and you're not forced to be on tier 3. Shrine, I really don't care. Give him friendly minion of each different type, 3 to improve this permanently. It's an okay tempo pickup if my board is specifically a lot of Menagerie and I just want a power level. Other than that, I don't care that it improves permanently. It's really just for a few turns, I've got whack toggle hero power. That's what I feel. Okay for tempo, that's it. 4-4 instead of 3-3 on the gauntlets, but it now costs 2 golds. All right, certain situations that can be worth it. Booty Bay Brew buffs +2/+3. Ooh, okay. On a shipwright, that's all of a sudden pretty reasonable. Significant buff here. That makes this a lot better. That's nice. Part of the Forest goes to +2/+1. Yeah, fair. Wasn't really ever taking this. Trickster Portraits was horrible, so now you get a 6/6 Trickster instead of a 3/3. But I don't know. I don't think I will take this. I need to have like maybe 2 Tricksters on my board or something, and I golden it with this thing. But then again, why do I have 2 Tricksters on my board? 3 random tier 4 minions from the binoculars instead of 2. Again, this was bad, so pretty good. Now it might actually be worth it. Gold pendants. Yeah, this was just not good, huh? I don't think I ever really considered this. This used to be every 2 turns. Now it's every turn. Again, maybe with gold grubbers on your board, you can consider this. Other than that, I just don't think it's, because it becomes so obsolete so fast because you will not have a bunch of tier 3 or below minions on your board, right? So that is the issue here. So I think this is sort of a gold grubber exclusive trinket. Wicked Tome is now Avenge 3. Okay, that is potentially viable for some token starts, because getting a lot of extra attack means you can buff shields, right? Considerable now, I guess, depending on your board. Ooh, 3 gold for a 15/15. I like it. Makes it quite a bit better. It's weird. It's better if your gold works. If your gold is awkward, you'd actually rather have the 10/10 and the 1 gold. But if your gold works, it's kind of nice to get a 15/15. Like if you power level to tier 4 and then you get this offered and you have like chef's choice and you buy something else, that's nice. Mushroom is now 1 gold instead of 2 gold. Don't care, it's bad. I don't think I'd take it if it was free. Your tavern spells give an extra 1 health. Start of each turn, improve this. Womp womp. Blingtron is now 3 golds. Sure. I never really liked this. This is like pretty good to get from Cube later in the game, but other than that, I don't really like taking this early. I guess Automaton, right? It's kind of Automaton, yeah, sure. Taragosa sticker, 2 gold instead of 4. Don't care. It's too early, right? That's the problem. Turn 6 is way too early to commit to this. And Taragosa sticker is really something you take for the long run when you are going to plan on putting a lot of buffs out, because on turn 6 you're not going to have enough buffs to justify taking this. So this is really a pick for the future, and generally on turn 6 you do not want to be committing into a direction yet. That's kind of the whole problem with trinkets, where a lot of players have this idea that, oh, they're supposed to set up a specific type trinket to then commit to their type, but that's way too early, man. You don't want to be committing to your type on your lesser trinket. On your greater trinket turn, sure, you could do that, but on your lesser trinket turn, it's too early. Theft Tusk goes from 2 to 1, another whatever change. Don't really like taking this. I don't think I'll take it now. Wardrum, 0 gold, sure. It's awkward. This feels like it should be okay, but I never feel like I want to take it. Right? It's a weird one. Maybe there's just not enough battle cries in the meta. Oh, they have made the Dragon tier 4 and Dracosath is back. So maybe now it's better. I don't know. Divine Signet is 5 gold instead of 6. That's because they nerfed mechs, I guess. Because this was actually okay when I played with it. But they nerfed mechs, right? Electron is no longer spell spamming, so that's quite a significant nerf. Greedy Headhunter Portrait is 7 gold. Don't care, still taking it. They should just remove this. It's too good. It's broken. It's kind of like the Weary Mage portrait, where it's too good. Because you play Headhunter, next turn you get another one. The turn after that you have a Golden Headhunter, so you're then discovering a 5 or a 6 drop, and every turn after that you're getting a Headhunter, which is good money. So this is still a very good trinket, in my opinion. Calligraphy set is 3 gold instead of 2. Yeah, I guess. They nerfed a lot of other stuff, so they have to be careful for quills now. That's fair. Wrench is now 3 instead of 5. I don't think I've ever seen this. It just seems far too conditional. Electromagnetic Device is now buffed because Electron is nerfed. I think that's fair, right? Yulon sticker, 2 gold. Yeah, 0 gold was way too good. I've only played this one time, but I instantly just won the game because I had Poets and I was like, oh, this is disgusting. I'm just goldening my whole board because there's no restriction on this, right? This is not like tier 3 or below. This is like golden any dragon when you have Poet, right? As long as you just put it next to your Poet. Once you have 2 Poets, that's where it starts getting disgusting, because then the Poets make each other golden, and then you can golden anything after that. You can start goldening lower tier dragons. So yeah, very, very, very good. Born of Summoning, 2 golds, that's fine. I only take this if I really don't want the others. So Anemone, who picks this? I don't know. 3 gold now. Okay, whatever. Implicator Portrait, 0 gold. Again, who picks this? It's like, I get why they're buffing it, but you can't really go much lower than 0 gold. I guess they could start paying people to take this, yeah. Beetle banned from Onyxia, that makes sense. Onyxia is a little illegal with this. This is out of the pool, this is out of the pool. It's all fair. Blood Golem sticker, so now we have greater trinkets. This costs 4 gold instead of 0 gold now, but now it procs 3 times. It still doesn't really work that well, but I guess it can work for Dark Gaze comp. Yeah. For Dark Gaze, this is good. Because right now we have Combat Quillbore, which means your Blood Golem sticker will just proc because random stuff got blood gems from your 3 little quills dying. But if you're playing Dark Gaze comp, you can actually gem transfer and have huge gem counts, right? That's when this starts to become pretty interesting. So pretty much just for Dark Gaze, in my opinion. This now procs 5 times per combat. Give a minion Divine Shield when you summon it. Sure. For a greater, I don't know. It's It's so specific. It's highly specific. Battlehorn now is Avenge 2. Okay, I could see that being worth it now. On Avenge 3, I almost never wanted this, but if I have something like Atrocity to proc a Golden Battlecry and I have a Bran, so let's say I have a Whimsy Dragon, right, or whatever it's called. If you have Bran and you have that Golden in the back, now we're talking. Yeah, now we can consider this. Hackerfin Portrait is 4 golds. You get a Hackerfin at the end of turn, trigger a Hackerfin's Battlecry. With the right setup, if you have Hackerfins on your board already, if you have Drukhari, if you have Bran, sure. I'm not sure if that's good enough to win a game though, but I guess you can meme and just get a board full of Hackerfins. You have Reflective Pendant or something like that. 3/3, 2 golds. Okay, sometimes you take this if you have the spell set up and you don't have a lot of buffs, but you're not happy, I'll put it that way. You're not happy if you have to take this. I've never seen this because I've never been playing Murlocs. That's so sad. I've never been offered this, and I've played enough games. But now I've played my first Murloc game with the patch, right? And I won it, so I can see this now. So now it's 2 gold at the end of the turn, give a random friendly Murloc 10/10 and Venomous. Okay, this could actually become a thing now. With Mechs nerfed, with Ellie's nerfed, we could see this. This could be a little disgusting. 4/2, again, we had an elemental nerf, so that makes sense. Fountain Pen's better now. 8/5, yeah, this is really the, we're just gonna buff it until you take it. That's starting to get quite significant. So again, you don't want to take this, but if you have to take it, you'll be a lot happier. The reason why you take this is I had a bad early game. I have someone dead on my board. Help, I'm dying. Oh, Feral Talisman. I guess I'll go for top 4. You know, other people are going to have a greater trinket that is going to just set them up to win the game. Whereas Feral Talisman, it's 8/5, it never gets better. So it's really just pure tempo. It's at its best when you take it, and it gets progressively worse every turn after that. But you'll take it if you have to, right? And then because it's buffed, you're happier. Scale is now twice per game instead of once. So if I'm dragons, maybe? Probably not. I don't know. This is kind of hard to judge. Because double and then double, that's a lot, right? Multiplication, right? It's quite a bit better than addition. But I just don't know. If I'm playing dragons, I want to get Keychain. I want to get Bronze Timepiece, right? I don't want to play this. Innkeeper's Hearth is now 2 6s. That's a lot better. Okay, in the right condition, you'll take that. If you're fishing for a specific 6, all of a sudden this is considerable. 4/5 on the big brew, less relevant than the small brew change, I would say. But if you are playing like Cleave Menagerie or something, maybe. Probably need a brand to spend more gold. But yeah, Giga buff a Cleave. I could see that. Hogwash is now nerfed to 3 blood gems. It was probably just a little too easy to play this trinket. You take it and you stop losing. And even though it doesn't quite scale, it's 3 blood gems, you could scale your gems. So it's not as bad as Feral Talisman, because Feral Talisman is just 8/5. This is 3 gems, but you can make your gems bigger, so it can scale with that. So I can see why they had to nerf this. Pipe is now 5/5. What? There's just a straight nerf. I mean, I can see how this was winning games again, and it's, sorry, I'm a broken record, right? Because my experience is not the average player's experience. So I have to keep that in mind, because whenever I had Pipe, it just wasn't good enough to win the game. However, that was when Elementals and Mechs were really broken. I did make like 1,000 on my neutrals with this. And now that we have an Elemental and a Mech nerf, that might be enough to win. Probably on the lower and mid-tier MMR, Pipe was already winning games. And now that they nerfed those high-tier strategies, it might just be too strong then. Okay, I'm still going to try to make this work. I'm going to try to go Souvenir Stand to double Pipe, because I think this is a super fun trinket. I love buffing neutrals like that. But yeah, the nerf, initially, I was a little puzzled, but I can see with nerfing the higher, you know, tier strategies, it makes sense, where this is all of a sudden a little too easy. 4 gold, get a Poet, get a Promo Drake, get a Bronze Steward, play dragons for crying out loud. Here's a dragon, here's another one. Just put them on your board. Will you please play dragons already? No, no, I mean, maybe. If you have Yulon Portrait from your lesser trinket and you already have a Poet and you're doing that, then sure, you'll take this. It's hilarious though. It's hilarious that they just have to keep adding shit to this. It's like, here, half a board worth of dragons. Will you please play dragons? Okay, fair. Wicked Tome is now 3/3. This is less important, I think, than the lesser trinket, simply because you have less time to farm. Once you're at this stage of the game, you really want to start using the spells instead of farming, right? What would be a comp that has the ability to farm Avenge and also wants to cast spells? Atrocities? Because like Undead is not it, right? And Beast is not it either. Because if you're playing Undead or Beast, how are you farming spells? I think that's sort of the problem with this. Mechs Yeah, kind of, but yeah. Play the Beetle spell. I guess Atrocity Menagerie, right? Reborn Atrocity? Reborn Atrocity Menagerie. And you can say, I'll get 2 procs per turn, I'll get 2/2. Oh, Reborn Party Guest. Yeah. Reborn Party Guest, okay. Maybe. I'm gonna give this a maybe on the right, in the right condition. Theodore is now 6/6. I don't know if I care. I don't think I care. All right, good talk. It's just, I can't just cycle neutrals, bro. Like, I play Rodeo and I play Scout. What else is there? Nothing, right? Like, you can't just be playing neutrals. Like, I play 3 neutrals and end my turn. Like, it just doesn't work. No, that's not a turn. That's not good. 18/18 on all my guys, right? It's like, that's not a turn, man. That's not a turn. Gilded Anchor, 8/8 to Golden Minions, end of turn. Yeah, with Drakari, right, on the right board. Again, hyper conditional. But, you know, if I have a Golden Drakari, I'll consider it, right? Oh, thank you. Artanis sticker. Now only Immortal or Mothership can be offered. They should have done that with Artanis, with his hero power. Now only Mothership can be offered. Like, really. See, the problem with Artanis sticker is you do not want to start farming up your Colossus on freaking turn 9. So Immortal is instant impact. And Mothership is fun, but honestly, in my opinion, also too late. Like, a turn 9 Mothership's too late. Immortal is like the only viable pick, I think, on high MMR. Because then you'll take that and you'll just say, I'll just copy my biggest guy. Sure. It's an improvement, for sure. All the other ones were not considerable. Jiraxis sticker, 3 gold. Yeah, I still don't like this. Kind of whatever. Get some magnetics. Behemoth, 3 gold. It's better. It's a lot better now. They buffed it where it's back to its original effect, so no longer half the stats. Very pickable now when you're playing shop buff elementals. Titus, 3 gold. Yeah, especially with the overflow change where it no longer buffs Titus. That seems incredibly net. Titus is just not as much of a unit as it was before. You're not playing frogs, you're not playing Goldrin, right? So probably don't really want to take this. Dagger is now 2 golds. Don't care, don't take this. Just feels like it's not a trinket. Timepiece, 6 gold. Yep. It's broken. So this thing got changed and I did not notice it the first time around. It says, give each of your minions health equals to its attack. This used to say, set it equal to the attack. Give is way better because now you're stacking. So you put Poet next to this bad boy. You put Golden Poet on the board. Now you farm attack with the bronze guy and all of a sudden you are getting lots of attack. Like, this is actually a really, really good trinket. Like, it's just very solid dragon trinket. You should definitely experiment with this. Serena Portrait is now 5 gold, but mechs were absolutely dominating and they nerfed this, so you'll probably still take this at 5. I don't know. This was solid, man. I don't know if I like this. This might just have to be removed. I don't know. Serena Portrait for 5 still good. If you have his arena on your boards and marquee ticker, this is still really good, man. Really good. Like, it feels like it's like top 2. Like, you take this, like top 2 unlocked. And then if you have a really good game, first. Yeah, I think it's just too good, man. This is still too good. 5 gold, you still have a half a turn. You get another Zarina on the board. So even at 5 gold, you're very happy to take this. Yeah, this is still very good. Zesty is 6 gold. Who the f playing Zesty Portrait? Get a shaker. What? Okay, whatever. I guess people are really just winning on lower MMR with Thaumaturgist. At high MMR, I just don't see it. But Thaumaturgist is probably destroying. Yeah, honestly, I think what's happening is people are gambling super early where they roll a Thaumaturgist on tier 3 and I'm like, I'm locked in, I'm committed. And when they hit this, they win the game, right? They're like, yeah. But I don't do that, right? Like, it's too early to commit. This probably has a very high win rate on lower more. Okay, I can see it. Electromagnetic, 4 golds because they nerfed Electron. Super fair. Beetle Band, 3 gold instead of 6. They nerfed Overflow Beetles, and 6 was probably a bit expensive anyway. So fair. Yeah, Thaumaturgist going to 6. I never take this shit, bro. I swear to God, I never take this shit. So, but it is probably a low MMR machine. Yeah, okay. All right, fair. Agam sticker is 5 gold instead of 4. They buffed Darkgaze Elder, but who was winning with Agam sticker? Drakari, Agam sticker, Legends. I don't know. Whatever. Unholy Sanctum, 5 gold. Yeah, it's another whatever change. Bach, 7 gold. People winning with Bach, huh? Well, maybe preemptive nerf because, again, right? Quills didn't really get hit, right? Quills have 3 little quills going to 6, right? That's how they got hit. But that's like a slap on the wrist, right? It's like, all right, it's a 6 instead of a 5 now. I guess it's a good change though, because right now there was no reason to go to 6 for quills. Now you actually need to go to 6, so Host cards 4 golds. After you play a Naga, get a random spellcraft. Really? Still too good? Just playing a Naga? Alright. Spellbook, 3 gold instead of 2. This was a pretty good one, so yeah, small nerf, it's fine. Validist, 6 gold instead of 5. I didn't really see this in my games, but again, probably a little bit of preemptive nerf because they nerfed the good stuff, right? So Kibble go into 6 gold. This must also be a low to mid MMR thing. I never see this shit. All right, whatever. People are destroying with Kibble. And butchering to 7 instead of 8. It was very expensive. This is still an okay trinket if you have like a good setup already. Drill goes to 4 gold. Again, they nerfed Electron, so fair. I don't mind mech buffs. The Electron nerf was massive. Yeah, boom to 5. Same thing. I think it's just a reaction to Electron nerf. Greater Boar goes 2 golds. Yeah, I mean, all these changes are really... These are not game-breaking changes, right? Shtara 6, sorry, from 1 gold to 0. This is not a thing, right? But I mean, it's hard to even aim, right? After your last minion dies, summon the first demon that died with maximum stats. You can't combo this with Titus, that's the problem. The reason why Shtara was good is you could combo it with Titus, and you could get multiple of them. In some situations, you could even reborn the Shtara like Lich King, right? Or Terran. Terran was also good with this. Just doesn't seem like something we can take. Nether Pendant, 0 golds. Yeah, they did move the tier 4 demon to 5, the damage preventer guy, so I guess that's fine. Sargeras, 5 gold. Really? Maybe a preemptive nerf already. I don't know. It didn't look like people were destroying with Eye of Sargeras. Candle, 4 gold. Yeah, this thing was too good. They did nerf 6 drops a lot though, right? Candle probably got a lot worse. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching the patch review. That was a lot. That is a huge amount of changes, so very excited to see what the new beta is going to bring.